I'll try keeping this review short and to the point. Yesterday I saw the new Lord and Miller film starring Ryan Gosling, Project Hail Mary. It's based on a book I haven't read, but it's written by the same guy who did The Martian. The premise goes as follows. A science teacher wakes up alone on a spaceship with no memory and must figure out how to stop a mysterious force from destroying the sun and Earth before it's too late. This is one of the most hyped up and well received films we've gotten in a long time, but what did I think of it? Well, before I continue, it seems like 99.1% of you aren't subscribed. I would greatly appreciate it if I get that number down. I enjoyed Project Hail Mary. I think it's a good time and I'm happy the film exists. But I do think it's pretty flawed. But let's start with what I liked. It's a nice looking movie, especially the scenes that take place in space. The use of colors and the mix of practical and special effects. It looks to me like they used a lot of miniatures for the exterior shots of the spaceships. I can't verify that, I don't know if it's true, but that's how it looks to me at least. The cinematography is quite expressive with a lot of camera angles you wouldn't normally see in Hollywood blockbusters. The film also played around a little bit with its aspect ratio, which I found pretty cool. It's just a fun looking movie that never gets stale from a visual standpoint. Another one of my favorite aspects of this film is Ryan Gosling's lead performance. He spends much of this film's runtime acting opposite a rock. Not The Rock, a rock. And he makes it work somehow, which is very impressive. That's not to say this is one of Ryan Gosling's best performances, it's not even close, but he does what's asked of him and he does it well. His character is the typical kind-hearted, reluctant hero, nothing too special, but I do think he has a fun dynamic with Rocky. Rocky is basically this cute little creature from another planet, and to be honest, I was surprised by how not annoying he was. In fact, he was kind of endearing and fun to look at as well. He has a cool design, and I like that he's not fully CGI. In fact, most of it was done practically, which I think is awesome. The score for this film was done by Daniel Pemberton, and I think he fully understood the assignment. It's a very playful score, which aligns well with the film's tone. And while there were a couple moments where it reminded me a bit too much of Interstellar, for the most part it was doing its own thing. Anyway, those are probably my favorite aspects of Project Hail Mary. Now let's get into the stuff that I'm more mixed on. Narratively, I don't find this film very compelling. It's not bad either, but it's not enough to justify a 2.5 hour runtime. For comparison's sake, Project Hail Mary is only 13 minutes shorter than Interstellar, and Interstellar has 10 times as much stuff going on. Of course, these are two different films with different goals, but what I'm trying to say is, Project Hail Mary is way too long. The story is, let's face it, pretty simple, and it's made worse by the fact that the film is front-loaded with tons of exposition. I understand that there's a lot of information that needs to be given to the audience, but it could have been done in a much cleaner way. It feels like the first 30 minutes or so of this film are filled with exposition, only for the film to suddenly pump the brakes for the next 30 minutes or so. It's a bad case of tonal whiplash. I'm also pretty mixed on this film's sense of humor. I quite like the physical comedy, but I'm not so big on the rest of it. It's a mix of Marvel humor and loud equals funny, with a few good jokes sprinkled here and there. But let me reiterate, I did enjoy the sides gags. As for the film's emotional moments, I think they were executed just fine, although I did find the film a bit sappy at times. It's as if the film was begging me to cry, which I didn't, but there were a few moments that touched me. And if I'm being honest with you, I didn't go into this film with the highest of expectations. I wasn't a big fan of the marketing. But I am quite happy with how this film turned out, even though I don't love it as much as most people do. Some are calling it one of the best films of the decade, which I certainly don't agree with, but I am happy to see people going to cinemas to support a semi-original film. And when I say semi-original, I mean this isn't a franchise film. Of course it's based on a book, but it's not the MCU or Star Wars. So I'm happy this film is going to make a ton of money, and I'm happy I enjoyed it too, even though it's not really my thing. And as for my rating, I'll give it a low 7 out of 10 for now. I do recommend it. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.